In this how-to video, we will go over how to install, set up, and run a CJWinter 134SA pneumatic thread rolling attachment in the third position of a Davenport Model B. For this purpose, the following hardware and tools will be required. First, we will begin with removing the existing fourth position linkage arm. This linkage will not clear the attachment and will be replaced with the fourth position bypass linkage, which is supplied with the 134-401 or 134-401-L linkage subassemblies. Remove the pivot connection to the fourth position cam arm and slide the cam mount out of the opposing slot. Next, undo the set screw connecting the linkage to the fourth position shotgun bracket. Next, we will be removing the existing tooling in the third position. In this case, we'll remove the currently installed third position swing arm, linkage, and tool in the third position tool spindle. Next, disconnect the swing arm from its current linkage. This is achieved in a similar manner as the fourth position linkage. Loosen the set screw and tap out the pin. The third position linkage will now be free on this side of the machine. On the opposite side of the machine, disconnect the return spring for the third position linkage and remove the two nuts securing the current link to the cam. The linkage bar can then be withdrawn from the machine. Now, we will remove the swing arm itself. Loosen the current third position swing arm's top bolts and break loose the retaining nuts on the shaft. Then, remove the nuts and spacers on the swing arm shaft. Slide the shaft free of the swing arm and lift the arm upwards out of the machine. Next, we'll begin preparing the 134-975N swing arm for installation. Disassemble the provided hardware from the eccentric on the swing arm and inspect it for any damage. Inspect the two bores for the shaft within the machine's bed casting. Verify the shaft fits the existing roller bearings in the first bore. If it does not, the correct bearings have been provided in the 134-975N swing arm assembly. Simply tap out the existing bearings and insert the correct pair. Next, verify that the existing bushing has been removed from the rear bore of the casting. We will be replacing this bushing with our application-specific one from the 134-975N swing arm subassembly. Once the mounting has been prepared, we will begin to mount the swing arm itself. Remove the shaft by loosening the two top bolts and sliding it out the face of the swing arm casting. Now, place the swing arm into the machine with the front bore of the bed casting in the cutout between the two knuckles of the arm itself. Then run the eccentric shaft through the first three openings, but not the second bore, within which the bushing has been installed. Next, we'll mount the 1-inch nut and a pair of the spacers between the second knuckle of the swing arm and the second bore of the bed casting. Once this is complete, thread the eccentric through the 1-inch nut and out the back of the bushing. When the eccentric has been driven to its depth, secure it with a single spacer and the 3/4-inch nut on the opposite side of the bushing. Set the nuts with a few light taps from the mallet and verify the arm swings freely. Next, we'll connect the swing arm to the new third position linkage. Slot the new linkage through the same hole the existing linkage was removed from, and firmly secure it with the provided hardware. Ensure the upset face of the bar is facing the front of the machine before installation. Before connecting the opposing side of the linkage, install the hard stop plate onto the bed casting. Affix the plate to the bed casting using the 4 included flat head cap screws. This plate may also be installed prior to installation of the swing arm. Once the linkage is secured to the drive cam and the hard stop has been installed, connect the linkage to the swing arm using the set screw and pin. Once again, ensure the arm swings freely. Now, we will begin preparations to mount the control system. Ensure you have the 134-804 control valve mounting bracket on hand. Remove the bolt on the fourth position frame extension. Align the 134-804 bracket with the hole, with the concave side facing the left of the machine. Affix the bracket with the bolt removed prior and tighten firmly. Now, we'll install the control valve itself. Unpack and visually inspect the 141-600 control valve assembly. Verify all components are present. Then, install the pressure indicator gauge into the face of the control valve assembly. We will now install the control valve adapter onto the 134-804 bracket by removing the two bolts installed in the upper portion of the bracket and fitting the control valve adapter. Then, secure it with the two provided hex bolts. Lastly, install the control valve assembly itself into the adapter. Install the metal flat washer provided with the kit onto the upper body of the control valve assembly. with the upset face facing upwards. Then, insert the upper body of the control valve from below into the adapter. Secure it from the top with the provided flange nut, and verify that it is snug and immobile. Once the pneumatics package has been installed, connect it to the machine's air supply. First, we'll set the radial alignment of the swing arm. Remove the locking gib and mount the 134-220 gauge into the swing arm dovetail. Slide the gauge forward until the gauge's aligning pin seats firmly into the gauge setting cutout on the arm itself. Set the gauge in place by running the gib into the dovetail above the gauge and securing it with the nylock nut. Now, we will insert the gauge pin into the third position tool spindle. Be sure to remove all tooling from the third spindle to allow for the gauge pin's installation. Once this is complete, insert the 134-225 gauge pin into the third position tool spindle, with at least 2.5 inches of the gauge pin proud to the spindle's face. Once installed, run the tool spindle forward until it is within the path of the swing arm's arc, and the mouth of the 134-220 gauge should seat over the diameter of the 134-225 pin. If the gauge does not seat over the diameter of a pin, use an open-end wrench to adjust the radial distance of the attachment with the eccentric pin. Once the mouth of the gauge travels over the diameter of your gauge pin, set your radial distance by tightening the 2 bolts in the top of the swing arm. Then, remove the gauge and the pin. Now, we'll set up the attachment itself. For this, retrieve the 134-925 attachment, its corresponding wedge spring roller sets, thread rolls to be installed, and a gauge pin for your desired minor diameter. Loosen the set screws on the sides of the bracket and remove the roll arms from the bracket itself. After this, extend the wedge using an air gun to deliver a short burst of air to the air inlet of the power pack. Then, loosen the wedge pin retaining screw and remove the wedge from the piston. Install the appropriate wedge for your application using the same method repeated in reverse. Then, retract the piston with a short burst of air directed to the return line. Next, we'll install the correct rollers and springs for this application. Loosen the pair of set screws retaining the roller pins and fully withdraw them from the roll arms. Then, insert the selected rollers and spring, then reinstall the 2 pins and set screws that were removed. Now, we will install the rolls into the roll arms. Retrieve your set of application-specific thread rolls. Loosen the carbide roll pin and draw the pins out of the roll arms. Set the rolls in place and return the pins. Then, ensure they are firmly secured by retightening the set screws. Following this, we'll reinstall the roll arms into the bracket and verify the minor diameter before installation of the attachment. To check the minor diameter, close the roll arms using a handheld air gun to extend the piston. Then, using a gauge pin of your minor diameter, confirm that the desired minor diameter is true. If the pin is too loose or snug between the rolls, use the pitch adjustment knob at the base of the power pack to correct the clearance. After all adjustments, the power pack must be cycled to display the new set distance accurately. The gauge pin should fit snugly between the rolls, but still be able to be freely inserted and removed. Once the rolls are installed and the spacing is set, we'll verify the timing. Observe the pair of laser-etched timing marks on the thread rolls. Compare the marks and the offset between the two. Then, loosen the compensator screw, and while holding one roll at center, rotate the other so that the timing marks align. Once the timing marks are aligned, retighten the compensator screw to lock in the roll timing. Next, we'll install the attachment onto the swing arm. Slot the attachment into the dovetail and set the locking gib to secure the attachment. Be sure to remove the spring mounts located on the top and bottom of the bracket. These are only needed for a 4th position mounting and will interfere with the attachment's arc of travel in the 3rd position. Now, we'll install the pneumatic trigger onto the swing arm. This trigger block mounts onto its corresponding bracket using a pair of socket head cap screws. Next, connect the attachment to the pneumatic control system using the air lines for the power pack. The clear line is the chip purge line. This line should be connected for operation, but will be removed for the remainder of the testing of the attachment. Now, we'll confirm the functionality of the pneumatic trigger. Draw the swing arm to the end of its stroke and confirm that the pneumatic trigger trips at this position. If the trigger does not engage, remove the depth stop button on the inside of the attachment by loosening its retaining screw. Shorten it until the attachment reliably triggers at the bottom of the stroke, and then reinstall. In this particular example, we removed 45 thou from the depth stop to achieve reliable cycling of the attachment. When reliable cycling at the bottom of the stroke is consistent, tighten the trigger bracket until the attachment trips, and then give it 1/4 turn past this point. Then, confirm that when cycling, the control valve assembly reads between 80 and 100 psi. Now, we'll install the new 134-401 fourth position bypass linkage. To properly clear the new linkage, the pneumatic connections at the base of the attachment's power pack may need to be rotated aside. Simply gently rotate the elbows 90 degrees to clear the linkage and ensure that there is no subsequent leakage after this is completed. Once finalized, install the new linkage using the provided hardware to fix it first to the fourth position cam mount and then to the fourth position shotgun bracket, firmly securing the linkage pin with the set screw. Finally, we'll use the 134-100 centering gauge to verify the center position of the attachment. For this, we'll need to close the roll arm, detach the signal line, and depress the trigger. Then, slot the 134-100 gauge into the third position tool spindle and advance it into the stroke of the swing arm. Run the arm forward and verify that both roll pins contact the flat face of the half moon gauge. When both roll pins strike the half moon gauge at the bottom of the stroke, tighten the swing arm's depth stop until it hits the depth stop bracket on the attachment. Be sure to lock the depth stop in place using the second nut and firmly secure the locking give once more. Now, we'll test the attachment. For this example, we're rolling an 1132 thread with a pitch diameter of 0.3215 inches. Here, we ran a slow cycle and obtained a few test parts. After a visual inspection, we can confirm that the rolls are properly timed and we have a good part. For more information about threads or thread rolling technology, visit us at www.CJWinter.com. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.